Night falls on Sentinel. No music played in the nameless tavern in Sentinel, and indeed there was very little sound except for discreet, cautious murmurs of conversation, the soft pad of the barmaid's feet on stone, and the delicate slurping of the regular patrons' tongues lapping at their flagons. Eyes focused on nothing at all. If anyone were less otherwise occupied, the sight of the young red-guard woman in the fine black velvet cape might have aroused surprise, even suspicion. As it were, the strange figure out of place in an underground cellar, so modest it had no sign, blended into the shadows. "Are you Jomick?" The stout middle-aged man with a face older than his years looked up and nodded. He returned to his drink. The young woman took the seat next to him. "My name is Habala," she said, and pulled out a small bag of gold, placing it next to his mug. "Sure it be," snarled Jomick, and met her eyes again. "What do you want dead?" She did not turn away, but merely asked, "Is it safe to talk here?" "No one cares about anybody else's problems but their own here. You could take off your cuirass and dance bare-breasted on the table and no one'd even spit." The man smiled. "So who'd you want dead?" "No one, actually," said Habala. "The truth is, I only want someone removed for a while, not harmed, you understand? And that's why I need a professional. You come highly recommended." "Who you been talking to?" asked Jomick, dully returning to his drink. "A friend of a friend of a friend of a friend." "One of them friends don't know what he's talking about," grumbled the man. "I don't do that anymore." Habala quietly took out another purse of gold, and then another, placing them at the man's elbow. He looked at her for a moment, and then poured the gold out and began counting. As he did, he asked, "Who do you want removed?" "Just a moment," smiled Habala, shaking her head. "Before we talk details, I want to know that you're a professional, and you won't harm this person very much, and that you'll be discreet." "You want discreet?" The man paused in his counting. "All right, I'll tell you about an odd job of mine. It's been, by RK, I can hardly believe it, more than 20 years, and no one but me is alive who had anything to do with the job. This is back afore the time of the War of Bettany. Remember that?" "I was just a baby." "Course you was." Jomick smiled. "Everyone knows that King Luton had an older brother, Grekilth, what died, right? And then he's got his older sister, Aupki, who married that king fella in Daggerfall. But the truth's that he had 2 elder brothers." "Really?" Habala's eyes glistened with interest. "No lie," he chuckled. "Weedy, feeble fella called Arthago, the king and queen's firstborn. Anyhow, this prince was heir to the throne, which his parents wasn't too thrilled about. But the queen, she squeezed out 2 more princes who looked a lot more fit. That's when me and my boys got hired on, to make it look like the first prince got took off by the under-king or some such story." "I had no idea," the young woman whispered. "Of course you didn't. That's the point." Jomick shook his head. "Discretion, like you said. We bagged the boy, dropped him off deep in an old ruin, and that was that. No fuss, just a couple of fellas, a bag, and a club." "That's what I'm interested in," said Habala. "Technique. My friend who needs to be taken away is weak also, like the prince. What is the club for?" "It's a tool. So many things what was better in the past ain't around no more, just 'cause people today prefer ease of use to what works right. Let me explain. There's 71 prime pain centers in the average fella's body. Elves and Khajiit, being so sensitive and all, got 3 and 4 more respectively. Argonians and Slodes, most of them at 52 and 67. Jomick used his short, stubby finger to point out each region on Habala's body. 6 in your forehead, 2 in your elbow, 2 on your nose, 7 in your throat, 10 in your chest, 9 in your abdomen, 3 in each arm, 12 in your groin, 4 in your favored leg, 5 in the other." "That's 63, replied Habala. "No, it's not," growled Jomick. "Yes, it is," the young lady cried back, indignant that her mathematical skills were being questioned. 6 plus 2 plus 7 plus 10 plus 9 plus 3 for one arm and 3 for the other plus 12 plus 4 plus 5, 63. I must have left some out, shrugged Jomick. The important thing is that to become skilled with a staff or a club, you gotta be a master of those pain centers. Done right, a light tap could kill or knock out with so much as a bruise. Fascinating, smiled Habala. And no one ever found out? Why would they? The boy's parents, the king and queen, they're both dead now. The other children always thought their brother got carried off by the underking. That's what everyone thinks. And all my partners are dead. Of natural causes? Ain't nothing natural that ever happens in the bay. You know that. One fella got sucked up by one of them Selenu. Another died of that same plague that took the queen and Prince Greklith. Another fella got himself beat up to death by a burglar. You gotta keep low, out of sight, like me, if you want to stay alive. Jomick finished counting the coins. You must want this fella out of the way pretty bad. Who is it? It's better if I show you, said Habala, standing up. Without a look back, she strode out of the nameless tavern. Jomick drained his beer and went out. The night was cool with an unrestrained wind surging off the water of the Iliag Bay, sending leaves flying like whirling shards. Habala stepped out of the alleyway next to the tavern and gestured to him. As he approached her, the breeze blew open her cape, revealing the armor beneath and the crest of the king of Sentinel. The fat man stepped back to flee, but she was too fast. In a blur, he found himself in the alley, on his back, the woman's knee pressed firmly against his throat. The king has spent years since he took the throne looking for you and your collaborators, Jomick. His instructions to me, what to do when I found you, were not specific, but you've given me an idea. From her belt, Habala removed a small, sturdy cudgel. A drunk stumbling out of the bar heard a whimpered moan accompanied by a soft whisper coming from the darkness of the alley. Let's keep better count this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.